Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ, where we help you lead with purpose and succeed with impact. If you're ready to grow into the kind of leader others want to follow, this podcast is for you. If you're determined to elevate your success and leave a lasting legacy, this podcast is for you. As my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Our goal is simple: to inspire you, challenge you, and equip you with insights that can transform the trajectory of your leadership journey. Welcome aboard to another episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.
All right, everyone, welcome to this special edition of the Leadership and Success Podcast. Today, we are going to be covering Proverbs chapter 19. Today is January 19, 2026. We're going to be talking about ancient wisdom and leadership lesson from the Book of Proverbs. But today is also a very special day. It is the Martin Luther King Day. All right, so happy King's Day, everyone. First, to get started, I'm reminded of our moment of gratitude. This is a part of the show where we take just a moment to be grateful for something because it's not possible to be depressed and to be grateful all at the very same time. So maybe if you would close your eyes, take a deep breath, put yourself in your happy place, calm your nervous system, and think about one thing you are grateful for today. I think today more than any other day, I am really grateful for the great heritage we have here in this country, in the United States of America. Those great people who have come before me, on whose shoulder I stand today. My story definitely wouldn't be possible without them. Those people who stood for justice, for equity, and for freedom. And I think that's really the spirit of America, who we are as a country. That's part of the reason why I joined the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Armed Force, and part of the reason why I am willing to give my life for this nation, because of our Constitution, our founding document, what it means, what it represents, and also for the hope we have, right? America, again, not a perfect country, but it seems like with time, we've been trying time and time again to live out our foundational aspiration, all men being created equal. Wow, that is quite a revolutionary idea, isn't it? And again, that's not how America started, but that's definitely what we want: a multiracial, multinational, democratic republic based on the rule of law and the Constitution of the United States with justice for all. Wow, that's the country I want, that's the country I'm fighting for. And that's who I am as an American. And I'm very grateful for that today. All right. If you would type in the comment what you are grateful for today. And again, happy King's Day. Actually, let me read an article. Actually, it's a post I wrote about today. Again, giving honor and remembering Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. One of his best quotes for me is when he says, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Wow, that is so powerful. Are you going to make yourself known? Are you going to count for history? Are you going to count for when things actually matter? Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said that in the letter he wrote from a Birmingham jail. That was April 16, 1963, in the civil rights struggle. All they wanted was for Black people to have the same civil right as everybody else, to be full citizen of America. It's not asking too much, is it? And I especially love that Martin Luther King stood for non-violence. Wow. would you stand up with Dr. King for what is right? This quote really has followed me from the deck plates in the Navy to the boardrooms of Silicon Valley, because leadership is not just about authority, rank, or technical mastery. It's really about moral responsibility. Martin Luther King reminded us that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. That truth applies just as much to a ship's watch team or a cyber defense squad in Silicon Valley as it does to a nation. What we tolerate in one corner of our organization will eventually shape the whole culture. And I've learned this the hard way. Right. Early in my career, it was quite tempting to focus narrowly just on my mission, my system, my deliverable. But over time, I realized something critical. Silence in the face of unfairness is still a form of leadership, and not the kind of leadership we want. For naval junior officer listening to me right now, who aspire to command one day, what injustices, small or large, are you seeing on your watch, in your division, or on your ship? What are you going to do about that? And are you building trust by protecting your people or eroding it by avoiding hard conversation? Command is not conferred by rank alone, it is earned daily through courage and character. And for senior security engineers or analysts here in Silicon Valley aspiring to lead, when a teammate is marginalized, overworked, or unheard, do you step in or do you step back? Are you going to make yourself count? Do your design and decision reflect fairness, inclusion, accountability, or just speed and efficiency? Technical excellence opens doors, but moral clarity will keep those doors open. So history reminds us over and over again that progress is never finished. Lincoln spoke of the unfinished work left to the living. Dr. King echoed that call generation later. Leadership today still demands the same thing: increased devotion to the cause of justice, freedom, equality. So speak up early. Small injustices become systemic failures if they are ignored. Defend people with the same intensity you defend mission, especially those who cannot defend themselves. Measure success not just by the outcome, but by how those outcomes were achieved. And remember, culture is shaped more by what leaders tolerate than what they announce. When you see injustice and you just ignore it, act as if you didn't see anything, well, that becomes your new standard. Are you going to say something? Are you going to stand for justice? Where do you see injustice right now? Subtle or overt? In your organization or your industry today? What is one action you can take this week to model the kind of leadership you want to serve under? Because leadership, my friend, is not neutral. Every decision either strengthens the fabric of trust or it frays it. So let's finish the work we inherited. I think, if nothing else, what Dr. Martin Luther King legacy is all about, in my opinion, is not just being aware of what's going on around you, but taking a stand. These are my core value. This is what I stand on. And Dr. Martin Luther King was willing to die for his belief. And again, this one is from the I Have a Dream speech, probably one of the most popular speeches in history. Dr. King says, now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. All of them, nobody left out. Doesn't matter if you are white, black, male, female, gay, straight, all of them. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all of God's children in this country. It says, I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Wow, that's powerful. Words are powerful. And Abraham Lincoln said this was during the Gettysburg address. I highly recommend everybody watch the movie, especially read the book about Gettysburg, but very, very powerful word. Uh, Abraham Lincoln, the one who emancipated the slave, he said during that address, "This nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from earth." That is what America is to me. And that's why, or partly the reason why I joined the US Navy, the US military, the best military in the world. And I think our armed forces really make our country great because those young men and women who answer the call, they'll raise their hand and they make an oath to the Constitution of the United States of America to support and defend that Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And they are willing to give their life for the freedom of their brother and their sister, of their fellow citizen. That is powerful. Yesterday, when we did lessons 18, right, Proverbs chapter 18, one of the bonus lessons I gave was the leadership ultimate sacrifice. Again, I've never seen anything like that, only in the US military. We are someone, a friend who sticks closer than a brother, a friend who's willing to give his life or her life for a friend. There is no greater love than that. And every day in our armed forces, our men and women in uniform are willing to do that. Wow. And I'm going to end with an extract of another speech by President Barack Obama. These were remarks by the president at the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery marches. That was March 7, 2015. So 11 years ago now. President Obama says, 50 years from Bloody Sunday, our march is not yet finished. But we are getting closer. 239 years after this nation's founding, our union is not yet perfect, but we are getting closer. Our job's easier because somebody already got us through that first mile. Somebody already got us over that bridge. When it feels the road is too hard, when the torch we've been passed feels too heavy, we will remember these early travelers and draw strength from their example and hold firmly the words of the prophet Isaiah. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on the wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. We honor those who walked so we could run. We must run so our children soar, and we will not grow weary. For we believe in the power of an awesome God, and we believe in this country's sacred promise. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty. We are free at last. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Yes, we can. All right. Happy King's Day. Now, let's get into today's study. So, again, we're supposed to study today on January the 19th, Martin Luther King's Day. Ancient Wisdom, mentoring from the Book of Proverbs. We're going to be studying Proverbs chapter 19. This is not a religious study, but we're going to be focusing on the leadership lesson and the ancient wisdom from this book written more than 2,000 years ago, but those leadership principles still apply today. All right, first let's do a quick review. So we're going to go from Proverbs chapter 1 through Proverbs chapter 18. We're going to ask Ron AI to catch us through. So this is the Ron Carpenter AI bot, the AI twin of Apostle Ron Carpenter. Is going to get us up to speed on everything we've studied so far. And also a quick reminder that you can go back to the previous lesson. Everything is available for free on your major podcast platform from January 1st through January 18th, which was yesterday. Each day we went through a specific book of Proverbs for that day. Today is chapter 19. Tomorrow will be chapter 20. And we're going to end on the 31st with chapter 31st. All right, so let's get a quick recap from Ron Carpenter AI.
Hi, this is Pastor Ron Carpenter. How can I help? All right, listen closely. Proverbs chapter 1 is all about the beginning of wisdom, and that start is the fear of the Lord. It's about getting wisdom, getting instruction, the spirit of wisdom and revelation so you can see life clearly and make choices that don't mess you up. The whole thing points to the fact that wisdom is isn't just a heart posture, a way of living that sets you apart. That's the big idea right there. Chapter 2 picks up from that foundation in chapter 1 and digs into why wisdom is like your best friend, your protector. It shows how wisdom saves you from the fools and the You see, it's about hearing God's voice early, before trouble hits, so you can live long, peaceful days. The fear of the Lord keeps you safe and gives avoid all kinds of foolishness. That's the big deal there. All right, chapter 3 is like wisdom's personal invitation. It tells us to trust the Lord with all our heart and not our own understanding. Come on, that's powerful. When you do that, He'll make your path straight, guiding you through life with success and peace. It's about leaning in, not just knowing God's favor daily. That's a dang good life lesson right there. All right, chapter 4 is like the pep talk from your wise, loving dad, telling you to grab hold of wisdom and never about guarding your heart, because everything you do flows from it, and you got to stay clear of folly that leads to destruction. It's a strong companion and your priority, period. That's the heart of it. All right, chapter 5 is a warning about the dangers of temptation, especially the seductive traps that can wreck your life and your future. It's got about staying faithful and wise, not falling for foolish shortcuts or lies that seem sweet and bitter. The message is your eyes locked on what's righteous and don't let yourself get fooled. That's the big point right there. All right, Proverbs chapter 6 is packed with tough love. It warns about foolish promises, laziness, and how God hates those among brothers. But the star of the show is that little ant. Man, that ant shows us what diligence and foresight look like, working steady and preparing ahead. That's the kind of wisdom God wants us to get, practical, real, and hard-earned. All right, chapter 7 is like this desperate shout from wisdom warning you about getting caught up in temptation, especially that sneaky kind that looks good but wrecks you. Wisdom screaming for you to wake up, guard your heart, and choose the right way before it's too late. That's the big idea right there. Third is wisdom personified like a woman calling out in the streets, inviting folks to live life the right way. It's about how wisdom was with God before creation, showing wisdom is divine order and foundation for everything. The big idea, listen to wisdom's call and you'll walk in safety and honor. Chapter 9, I'm knocking on the door, y'all. It's calling us to come on in, choose life, and leave the life of fools behind. Wisdom is a blessing and safety if we listen. It's an invitation, plain and simple. All right now, chapter 10 is like a packed toolbox of wisdom. Short, punchy saying, wise choices make life better and foolish ones mess it up. It covers everything from how your words can heal or hurt to hard work versus laziness and integrity. Bottom line, every choice matters, and your life reflects what you plant with your decisions. Chapter 11 is all about the contrast between righteousness and wickedness showing up in blessings and consequences. It's like a mirror. You can see how being honest and while deceit and pride lead to trouble. That's the heart of it. All right, chapter 12 gets into how your choices about speech, work, and integrity shape your life. It shows that a righteous person's will bring life, but fools just shoot off their mouths and cause trouble. It's a reminder that wisdom shows up in everyday actions and habits, not just fancy theories. All right, chapter 13 is discipline brings life and blessings, while foolishness brings destruction. It reminds us that what we say and do shapes our future, so choosing the path is big time. It's like planting a garden. You reap what you sow, no doubt. All right, after chapter 14 in Proverbs, you keep seeing that pattern. Brings life and blessings, but foolishness brings trouble. The chapters that follow keep hammering home practical guidance on how your choices, your words, and your heart posture set you up or pain. It's like every chapter layers on that reality until it sticks. That's the big picture as you move past 14. Okay, Proverbs 15 is all about how your words show your heart and how the wise handle correction with calm and peace while fools stir up trouble. It's reminding us that a gentle answer can diffuse conflict and that fear of the Lord leads to life. That's the heart of chapter 15. Chapter 16 is all about trusting God. Let me tell you, that's some of the hardest stuff to do. It reminds us that our steps are ordered by the Lord, but we still make choices, and those choices help. So the takeaway, lean on God, but remember your decisions count too. Chapter 8 is down to tough times. It points out how peace is the arguing and how wisdom helps you navigate those rough spots instead of making them worse. That's the big picture for chapter 17. All right, chapter 18 is power of words can build up or break down, and how wisdom shows up in how you talk and handle yourself. It reminds us that offense can be like a strong city wall, hard to mend relationships once that hurt sets in. So watch your tongue and guard your heart. That's the big picture.
All right, so that's a great recap from chapter 1 all the way through chapter 18, which we studied yesterday. So again, you can get the podcast episode from all of the previous chapter. And I also wanted to acknowledge a comment from Marcy Johnson Evans. Thank you so much. She says, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Yes. Amen to that. And that's really what I stand for. That's who I believe America is. That's who we are as a people. And I don't think anything is going to change that. Thank you so much for sharing, Marcy. I do appreciate that. All right. Let me do a quick recap from what we already learned yesterday. First, the 7 lesson, and then I'm going to also highlight the 2 bonus lessons from yesterday. So, lesson number 1, yesterday we talked about isolation weakens judgment. That's based on verse 1. Leaders who isolate themselves, they stop receiving truth. Independence without accountability will breed blind spots. All right, so that was lesson 1. Lesson 2, we talked about speaking without understanding is leadership failure. That's based on verse 2. Leaders who speak more than they listen signal insecurity, not confidence. Well, leadership lesson number 3, we said words create culture, based on verse 4. A leader's words shape morale, culture, and psychological safety, whether intentionally or not. All right, lesson 4. Partiality corrupts justice. Based on verse 5, favoritism and bias, real or perceived. Perceived is an important word here. You may not be biased, you may not show favoritism, but if your people perceive that you do, that is a problem. So that will erode trust faster than poor performance will. All right. Leadership lesson number 5. We talked about words can heal, but words can destroy as well, based on verses 6, 7, and 8. Unchecked speech escalate conflict, and wise leaders de-escalate through restraint. And lesson number 6, pride creates false security. That was based on verses 10, 11, and 12. Pride convinces leaders they are untouchable until they are not. Remember that pride comes before destruction, but humility will elevate you. So lead with humility. All right. Lesson 7, which was the last one, was listening first is a strategic wisdom. That was based on verses 13, 15, and 17. All right. The first story is really the full story. Wise leaders gather perspective before judgment. And then I had 2 bonus lessons yesterday. One, we talked based on verse 21, the 4 styles of leadership. We talked about the military commander style, which is, I guess, where I started. I am a military commander, after all, authority-driven, command and control type of leadership. And then we talked about the chief executive officer style, the CEO style, kind of vision-driven, top-down. And then we talked about the coach. That's really what I am geared into these days, development focus, and primary tool being feedback and encouragement. And then we also talked about the poet and the gardener, what I aspire to. That's really modern leaderships. It's about life giving and culture shaping, right? Using meaningful words and intentional care, expectation being shared ownership and human flourishing. So the most effective leaders today, I believe, 21st century in 2026, are leaders who recognize the creative and relational power of words. Like a poet, they give language to what the team feels, but cannot always articulate. But like gardener, they cultivate environment where people grow naturally. I think that's really the essence of leadership. Having words that create life, safety, and trust, encouragement, fueling resilience, and a culture that become self-sustaining. All right. And then the second bonus lesson we had yesterday based on verse 24, which is a verse that really touched me a lot. 21 years now, I've been in the Navy, and I'm still pretty much in awe of this, right? A man that has friends must show themselves friendly, but there is a friend who stick closer than a brother. Wow. And I've made friends since I joined the military 21 years ago. They are still my friend today. And many of them are closer to me than my own biological brothers and sister because they are willing to take a bullet for me and I for them. That is really, really powerful. There is no greater love than that. So I call this leadership's ultimate sacrifice. That is powerful. Wow. Leadership creates proximity, but character will create loyalty. You cannot demand the kind of friendship Proverb 18:24 describes. You have to earn it through humility, consistency, shared sacrifice, and genuine care. And that's really what happened when you join the US military. All right, so that was from yesterday. So today we're going to start with Proverb chapter 19. Again, I would like to hear from you. Let me know if there are any verses that I don't highlight today, if you have any insight for those and how to apply them today to be more successful and be a better leader. And also, let me know what you think about the 7 lessons I'm going to be sharing today. So, Proverb 19, what's the big idea here? This chapter really teaches leaders that character outweigh competence. You know, I talked about the 3 C's of leadership, right? I learned in the Navy. It's competence, it's character, and connection, the 3 C's of leadership. It looks like we borrowed that from the US Army. But anyway, I do believe that character does outweigh competence. Patience will outlast impulse, and discipline will preserve destiny. So, this chapter reminds us that leadership is not validated by speed, wealth, or influence. And again, those things are important, especially here in Silicon Valley, but by wisdom, integrity, and humility, and a teachable spirit. You have to be coachable. So, in a world that rewards haste and appearance, Proverb 19 calls leaders back to steady judgment, moral restraint, and long term faithfulness. Again, that's the lesson I learned from one of my primary mentor, Brian Tracy. Long term perspective. Whatever decision you make today, think about what the impact is going to be long term from now. The longer, the better. So the theme for chapter 19 is wisdom that endures. Leadership is shaped by patience, integrity, and instruction. All right, so leadership lesson number 1 today. We're going to be talking about integrity is greater than image. That's going to be Proverbs chapter 19, verse 1. Let's listen to it. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 1. Here we go. Integrity is greater than image.
Better is the poor who walks in his integrity than one who is perverse in his lips and is a fool.
Wow, I'd rather be poor and be a person of integrity. Integrity is greater than image. True leadership is not measured by status, wealth, or even eloquence. True leadership is measured by integrity. A leader without character eventually collapses under the weight of their own contradictions. How do we apply this? So you have to choose what is right over what is impressive. Build trust through consistent values, not polished appearances. Where might you be prioritizing perception over principle? And would your integrity hold up if no one was watching? Again, a great principle that I've learned, I always like to think about my maternal grandmother. if nobody is watching, would my grandmother be proud of what I am doing or I'm about to do, the decision I'm about to make? Would she be proud of it if she knew about it? That generally keeps me out of trouble, because if my grandma Susie is not happy with what I'm about to do, I am not going to do it because I want my grandma to be proud of me. So the anchor reflection here is integrity may slow your rise, but it strengthens your foundation. All right, leadership number 2. Speed without wisdom will lead to failure. That's based on verse number 2.
Also, it is not good for a soul to be without knowledge, and he sins who hastens with his feet.
Those who hasten with their feet, they tend to sin. So ambition without discernment creates reckless leadership. Passion must be guided by wisdom, or it becomes destructive. So pause before you act. Create that space where you can think before you act. Don't just react, but respond. Okay. Seek counsel. Confirm facts. Direction matters more than speed. All right. Where are you rushing instead of reflecting right now? And who helps you slow down and think clearly? It might be your spouse. No. Somewhere else in Proverbs says, iron sharpens iron. That is so important. Having an inner circle of people who have the freedom to speak to you and tell you exactly what they think. Speak freely. Tell you when you're doing something wrong, encourage you when you're doing something right. And that is so important. So the anchor reflection here is a fast decision. They feel powerful, but wise decision will endure. All right, leadership lesson number 3. Take responsibility. Don't blame God or others. That's based on verse 3.
The foolishness of a man twists his way, and his heart frets against the Lord.
So do not be foolish. Right? Mature leaders blame circumstances, but mature leaders own the outcome. Whatever is happening to you right now. So this is the book, The Success Principle by Jack Canfield. A couple of days ago, I had Dr. Is a marriage coach, and we talked about this, about what's happening to them as being positive or negative, but that's just the result, right? But what has caused the outcome of where you are, and what can you do in order to change that in the future, right? So you do have agency, and if you keep blaming, God, the universe, your parents, your wife, your brothers, and you keep blaming everybody else, but what you're saying is there is nothing you can do about your situation, which is absolutely not true. What can you do that is under your control that can improve the outcomes that you are experiencing right now? Because that's all it is. It is an outcome, good or bad, positive or negative. And what are you going to do about it? So taking ownership and not blaming others, blaming the man in the mirror, the woman in the mirror, looking at yourself and trying to change the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. By acting better, you will have better outcome, better result. Okay. So immature leaders, they blame circumstances, they blame everybody else. But people who are mature, they own the outcome. And then they do what is necessary in order to change them if they don't like the outcome they're currently having. So accountability is a leadership accelerant. All right. How do we apply this? Replace defensiveness with ownership. Growth begins where excuses end. I like there is a book written by two Lieutenant Commander SEALs, Extreme Ownership. That's really something that we learn in the military. You have to own your outcome. Nobody else is to blame but the person in the mirror. Kind of like that Negro spiritual song, right? It's me, it's me, it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer. Not my brother, not my sister, but it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer. So what you did, I believe, has caused the outcome you are seeing right now, and again, you want to change the outcome, you have to change what you are doing. Because if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same outcome over and over again. Right? I believe Albert Einstein is the one who said, doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results. That's insanity, right? You are insane. You are foolish. You are crazy if you keep doing the same thing, but you expect a completely different outcome. If you want a different outcome, you have to do something different. And that is up to you. You are the agency. You have to take ownership and decide, what am I going to think? How am I going to feel? And more importantly, what am I going to do about this? And change the outcome. Okay, where do you rationalize instead of repenting? And how do you respond when your decision fail? Right? Throughout all of the interviews I've had for these 5-season leadership and success podcasts, very successful people, they keep telling me that they are failing forward. Actually, my primary mentor, John C. Maxwell, wrote a book like that too, Failing Forward. That means that even if you fail, you learn from your failure. You learn from your experience. What is the world trying to teach you? What have you learned from it? What are you going to do different or better? What are you going to start doing that you didn't do before? And as long as you are learning from your experience, you are succeeding. You are failing forward, right? Dr. Maxwell also says, right, sometimes you win and sometimes you learn, not fail, but learn. Because every failing experience is an opportunity for you to learn, do something different, get more knowledge, get more wisdom, learn from your past so that you can have a better future. All right, failing forward. So the anchor reflection here is responsibility is the doorway to redemption and growth. So take full responsibility, take full ownership of all of the outcomes in your life. And I think your life will get better and better and better. You won't be sour, sad, and always accusing and blaming everybody else. But you will actually be positive and will start taking better steps, whether it's with eating better, exercising more, or whatever it might be, going back to school. Right? Because the truth is, 5 years from now, you are going to be 5 years older than you are right now. So you could be 5 years older with the MBA, or you could be 5 years older without a degree. That's up to you. Right? You could be 5 years older with a industry certification like the CISSP or whatever it might be, or you could be 5 years older without it, right? You could be 5 years older with a better job, better skills, or not. It's up to you, right? So what are you going to do with your time today that is going to affect your future? All right, leadership lesson number 4. Character determines the quality of relationship. Let's read verses 4 and 6 and 7. Character determines the quality of leadership, of relationships.
Wealth makes many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. Many entreat the favor of the nobility, and every man is a friend to one who gives gifts. All the brothers of the poor hate him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He may pursue them with words, yet they abandon him.
Think about it. Character determines the quality of relationships. Influence built on advantage is fragile. I believe it was JFK who said that success has many favors, but failure is an orphan. Nobody wants to be associated with somebody who is failing, someone who doesn't have any money, someone who's not famous. And as long as you have money, as long as you have fame, people are going to be around you. But you won't be able to tell who really cares about you and who's after you just because of what you have, your success, your money, your fame, or whatever. But the moment you are in trouble, the moment you go bankrupt, the moment you no longer have that advantage, just watch who really truly cares about you. Wow. Influence is built on advantage is fragile. So relationships rooted in character will endure adversity. When you go through a tough time, when you go through intense pressure and stress, that's really when you will know for sure who are your friends, who is with you, and who's just pretending and who's just taking advantage. All right. So invest in people, not leverage, and build loyalty through authenticity, not transaction. No. Transactional leadership, I guess, no. It can only take you so far, but you need to get to a point where it's above and beyond just a transaction. There needs to be mutual affinity, core value, shared risk, shared life, or genuine care for one another. That's why I really love the American military, because we don't fight for money, we don't fight for wealth. We are not mercenaries in the US Navy. We fight because we have core values: honor, courage, commitment. We fight because we want to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. We fight for our country, our fellow citizen, for democracy, for freedom. That's what we fight. That's why we are willing to give our life for our fellow soldiers and sailors. So, integrity. All right, so true followers are formed by trust, not utility. All right, leadership lesson number 5. Discipline is an act of love. So let's read verse 18. Discipline is an act of love. And I guess the older I get, the more I understand that true leadership is really about love. You have to love the people you serve, the people who work under you. Love.
Chasten your son while there is hope. Do not set your heart on his destruction.
You genuinely care about the people you serve. Wow. It's not just you using them in order to accomplish the goals of the enterprise or the organization, but caring about them individually. Wow. Avoid hard conversations today will create harder consequences tomorrow. Loving leaders correct early and clearly. I know many times, especially in Silicon Valley, I've had some bosses where you come back from the weekend, hey, Bob, how are you doing today? When you start to tell them what you're doing or what you did this weekend or whatever, and then quickly, okay, let's go back to task. We have all of this project. Let's get back to work. It's like, no, you don't really care about me. I mean, you want me to work and be productive and all of that. I understand. That's why I have a salary. But as a person, bro, I don't really feel that you care about me as a person. And if you're going to be a leader, you really have to care about your people. In the Navy, we are taught, right? Mission first, but people always. And people will know whether you care about them or not. All right. So how do you apply this? Give timely, constructive feedback. Give feedback with love. And again, not just what you say, but how you say it. All standards with compassion and consistency. Empathy. Feel what your people feel. And genuinely care about them. So where are you avoiding necessary correction? And do those you lead know that you care enough to challenge them? So the anchor reflection here is, and discipline is not punishment, it is investment. All right, leadership lesson number 6. Patience is the leadership superpower. Let's read based on verse 11. Patience is the leadership superpower. Verse 11.
Glory is to overlook a transgression.
The discretion of a man makes him slow to anger. Patience is a leadership superpower. Emotionally intelligent leaders, they do not react, they respond. Again, create that space where you can get the signal, you get the information, but you think, you come up with a response, and then you respond logically, okay, from your heart, not just emotionally react to whatever's happening at the moment. Patience will preserve unity and credibility. So choose restraint over retaliation. Create space before responding to conflict. Again, not reacting, but responding. Big difference. So, what offense are you holding instead of releasing? And how does patience elevate your leadership today? Anchor reflection is self control multiplies authority. All right, our final lesson today, lesson number 7, wisdom comes through instruction. That's based on verse 20. Wisdom comes through instruction.
Listen to counsel and receive instruction, that you may be wise in your latter days.
Receive instruction. Listen to counsel. Wisdom comes through instruction. Teachable leaders remain relevant, whereas pride closes ears, and humility will open your future. So seek mentors, welcome feedback, learn continuously, even feedback from the people who work for you, even for the most junior people on your team. Have an open mind, have a learning mind, always looking for a better way to do whatever it is that your organization does, and being able to receive feedback from anyone, even the people who don't like you. Because many times in the dirt that they give you, there might be some gold, and seek for the gold. That's quite powerful. Wow. So even when it's uncomfortable, always seek mentors and feedback. All right. Who has permission to speak truth in your life right now? There should at least be a few people, a handful of people in your inner circle who can freely speak to you, especially when you are doing the wrong thing. Because sometimes you may not be aware. Everybody has a blind spot. So you need somebody who's going to be watching your back and tell you, hey, busy, you are making a mistake here. I think you need to consider this. Very, very important. So how do you respond to correction? As a leader, you need to embrace correction. You need to seek feedback, because that's going to make you better. So the anchor reflection here is the wisest leaders, they never graduate from learning, always learning, especially right now in the age of artificial intelligence, right? In the 21st century, where knowledge really is exponential. It's impossible to know everything there is to know. So you need your people. You need people to tell you what you might be missing. And you need to be open to listen. You have to be teachable. You have to be coachable. All right. So Proverbs chapter 19 really reminds us that leadership is not built on impulse, entitlement, or image, but on patience, integrity, discipline, humility. Those are core values that we should all stand on. Right? Leaders who endure are those who slow down, listen well, correct lovingly, and remain accountable to truth. Because wisdom does not shout, it steadies. All right. So that's all I have for you for today, Proverbs chapter 19. So let me know if there is any other verses in chapter 19 you'd like to be highlighted, or if you have any insight, I'd like to hear it. And I want to remind everyone that tomorrow I will be back for Proverbs chapter 20. And we're also going to have tomorrow an interview. I'm going to be publicizing that today. So I am looking forward to it. And again, if you are watching the replay, let me know where you come from, what you are grateful for, any of your 3 to 5 takeaway from what I've shared today, or any other insight from Proverbs chapter 19. I'd like to hear it. Thanks again for watching. Have a happy King's Day. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If today's episode added value to your leadership journey, be sure to subscribe, share, and join us again for more wisdom nuggets on how to lead better and achieve greater success. Remember, leadership is the most critical skill of our time. The world will always need leaders to inspire others, drive innovation, and execute meaningful strategy. So why not count yourself among the bold leaders shaping the 21st century? Until next time, stay inspired, stay committed, and keep leading with excellence.